Let's take a look at the front page. Kenyans return 25 billion hidden in old banknotes. So the government order on new currency during Madaraka Day celebrations has seen billions outside the banking system resurface in the month of June alone, and we still have up until October. So 201 million is the pieces of 1,000 notes in circulation as of June 2018. And we still have more details of that story on page 4. And I'd like to start with Bik on this. Yeah, was this a good strategy in your way, from the financial angle of it?
Well, first and foremost, there was no strategy because we needed to follow the law. Yeah. The constitution was very clear about what we needed to do in terms of changing from the old currency notes to the new currency. So basically, what central bank was doing was basically implementing the law, although they're a bit late. However, every good thing normally has its own benefits, and I think one of the effects is to be able to bring back money that was outside the purview of the legal financial system, and this is basically money moving within different banking institutions. And for me, I think this is a good thing. Now at least we have some money into the system. Unfortunately, this is not money that's going to circulate to have any impetus into the economy.
Yeah, that was my main concern. Is it really, is there a trickle?
Actually, these people have just brought back the money to be able to exchange it together with the foreign currencies, mostly the dollar and the euro. Then they'll take it back because many people believe mattress banking unfortunately is still very serious in this country, because given the punitive tax regime that we're actually facing in terms of mobile money or bank charges, so people are preferring to handle their money in cash form and from a home kind of banking way.
Many people assume that it's not really the tax, it's more about the people who can't explain where that money is from.
Not necessarily. The biggest challenge is actually the illicit money that actually is within the financial system. And one of the things that this currency change from the old notes to the new notes, what it has been able to do is to be able to make it very difficult for people to be able to continue with the illicit money. Well, we've seen a few cases where people have been caught with illicit currency notes, but they've been limited. So what we're seeing right now, the positive aspect about this is basically limiting the illicit cash flow into the economic system. But this will not have any impact on the economy, because once they've been able to exchange the notes to the new currency notes, or the euro or the dollar, they'll be able to take back the money and continue doing what they've been doing with it at the end of the day.
So it was June 1st during Madaraka's speech that we saw that announcement being made, and since today you have about 40 more days to make sure that your 1,000 notes at home or in your mattress are officially within the new currency as well. Tabitha, just from a Kenyan perspective, taxpayer to taxpayer, citizen to citizen, when you see a headline like this, that 25 billion Kenyan shillings was hidden, how does that make you feel?
It actually makes you feel, or rather it makes me feel like some people are actually behaving like what we say that people eat as from their pocket, like njugu karanga. Yeah. So I feel like whatever is ours is not really ours. It is for some people.
Right.
Yeah.
And is it not, would you say that it's blatantly robbing the nation, robbing young people, robbing
I think there
dreams?
is no better vocabulary for that. You have put it right.
I think to be fair, I mean, if you're looking at the numbers, what you need to understand is 8,789 Kenyans own what the rest of Kenyans own. So that is actually putting in proper numbers. And if you're to look at what this means in like what she's saying, basically then it means we're going to look at how people are acquiring the money and where they're storing it. You know, when you look at the corruption cases going around, we are seeing government officials basically doing business with themselves and charging through the roof to be able to pay themselves and make a lot of money. And the one thing I think we deserve what we're getting because we're not holding the leaders accountable. I mean, explain to me why, and this is just 25 billion is the first month. I mean, once the first month of June and maybe partly part of July. We're yet to see August and September as we approach the deadline. So I'm looking at 100 billion plus. That is actually outside the purview of the financial economic system. And this for me will make me wonder how much money are we losing to entrepreneurs who are politically connected and corrupt civil servants.
And that has also been the main concern, because there was a report earlier on that less than 1% of Kenyans have more than $1 million in their bank accounts. So when this kind of money resurfaces, is this the 1% that we're talking about?
If you look at it from what I've said, only 8,000 of Kenyans own what the rest of us own. Basically looking at less than, 41 million people compared to 8,000 people. So when you look at it in that perspective, then you're left wondering...
have enough assets for everyone.
Yes, and now you can be able to understand why less than 1 million Kenyans have bank accounts. The issue about bank accounts, what has enabled Kenyans to get into the financial system is mobile money. That's the only aspect where Kenyans can actually be able to say, I have an account with an institution. And because of M-Pesa and other mobile money pockets and platforms, people can actually be able to say, oh, well, I have an account, because at the end of the day, there's a bank at the end of that transaction.
Right. You know, there's a sentence that has caught my attention in this specific article. It says, and I quote, 30 days after he made the speech, that is CBK governor, the currency outside of banks dropped by almost a tenth. How does that impact my electricity bill, my food, oil, etc.?
What does is basically creates an inflation aspect, which at the end of the day, if you look at your basic bills for the last 2 months, you see that they've actually gone up. Electricity has gone up, fuel has dropped significantly, transport has still remained the same. We're looking at basic commodities, sugar, cooking oil, salt, water, they've gone up. So basically what you're saying is there's a disrupt in the cash flow, because at the end of the day, people are wondering, how do you move our money? Many people are used to just buying, transacting. There's what you call the mwananchi economy, the kiosk economy. People are commonly used to transacting from that perspective. And for briefly 21 days, there was a disruption on that end. But now that has been resolved. So what's happening right now is what central bank needs to work on is to ensure that they're able to seal the loopholes where illicit money, illicit and counterfeit, can be able to come back into the economy.
So there's only one thing that I'm still struggling with. If this money is not really pumped back into the economy, so then how does it help? What's the need?
This money will not have any help unless the owners of this money pump back into the economy and we have circulation. We're seeing key sectors struggling. We're looking at construction and real estate completely struggling. We're looking at manufacturing, which has dropped completely to almost 1% growth. So we are staring at a recession. Yeah. At the end of this quarter, if the government doesn't really do something to jumpstart the economy, things will actually be very bad. We're looking at agriculture that's completely been ignored. We're looking at our import-export balance, basically focusing on imports. With what's happening with the issues of tax evasion and fraud amongst certain key businesses, we're looking at import being the aspect that's actually pushing the economy. And the other thing is basically government expenditure. So we're looking at, if we're told that the economy has grown by 5.7 to 6%, only 1% is actually the real economy. The other between 4.8 to 5.1% is actually what the government is spending in terms of the economy. So we're just seeing people getting their salaries, county governments paying their civil servants at the county level, and key listed companies being able to transact with the government.
So it's not actual growth then, because many people are saying this 6.3% growth of the GDP and people don't feel it in the lower card.
There's growth on paper, but in actual sense there's no growth. There's apparent reduction of poverty levels, but on the ground there's zero. Because we're looking at a growth of 0.8 to 1.1%.